our Social Media Monday series, and today we'll be talking about engaging and building your audience on social media. As a quick overview, here's what you can expect us to cover on today's meeting. We'll first be reviewing Content 101, kind of the basics of content development. We'll review tips for memorable posts, posting strategy and scheduling, aka social media for sanity. We'll discuss how to build your audience through hashtags and Facebook groups. And then we'll do a paid advertising 101 tutorial where I'll walk you through how to boost a Facebook post. So we'll start by talking about how to create content. I think a good way to start before really even digging into that content development is to define your goals, because that's going to inform what content you ultimately end up sharing. So are you in it for likes? Do you just want information out there? Are you trying to drive traffic to your website? Do you want to actively grow your customer base on social media? And what's your tone? Are you playful, serious, dramatic? I think a mix of that is okay and shows that you're a human being. Audiences are generally drawn to positivity, but I think being honest about setbacks or challenges that you experience can really resonate with folks and build community. And I think we're seeing lots of that recently. With farmers talking about how the COVID-19 pandemic is affecting their business. And I think creating that, really being vulnerable in that way, helps to create trust and transparency between the business and the community. So we're going to start by talking about the post's intent, and there's kind of 5 different intentions that we're going to walk through today. First is the call to action. We'll talk about storytelling posts that whose purpose is to build community and connection. We'll talk about educational, inspirational posts, and entertainment posts. And there's kind of an 80-20 rule to go by here, in that 80% of your posts should either educate or entertain, and only about 20% of those should promote or sell. That 20% is usually your call to action posts, but not necessarily always. So there's the call to action looks different for different kinds of posts. So that could be encouraging people to sign up for your CSA, or to visit you at market, to shop at the farm stand, or stop by the farm for a U-Pick experience, or even voting for your new farm dog's name, which is a very fun and important task to get community input on. So the first post that I want to share with you that kind of embodies that call to action piece is this from Full Sun Farm, where they are saying, remember to feed your soul as well as your body. Spring flowers are coming in, and our online store is now open. They also link to their online store. Order by Thursday at midnight for Saturday North Asheville delivery. And that's a call to action to shop in their online store. This is transferable to both Facebook and Instagram. I think that if you're wanting to call people to action to go to a specific link, that Facebook is going to be a better tool for doing that, because you can't directly click on this in a Facebook post. You would have to include this link on your profile within your bio. So that's just something to consider, but this is an example of the call to action post. Another kind of post that you can share is a storytelling post, one where you're sharing your farm story or other personal anecdote. You introduce members of your farm team, share stories of resilience or good humor, talk about your land, go behind the scenes with daily chores. You might not think that this is too exciting, but for someone who's not, in the day-to-day nitty-gritty of a farm business operation, this could be, an interesting viewpoint to share. And also, I think sharing information about what you're doing in the off season can also be engaging. So here's an example of that kind of post from Creasman Farms. where they're sharing information about the changing, how the seasons are changing, how farming can look so different from one year to the next, and then sharing this really picturesque photo of their farm and watering. The third type of post we'll talk about is one that builds community and connection. So that could look like calling out specific restaurants or partner businesses that buy your products and support your farm. And you can tag their social media to kind of help make that even more engaging. You can make your CSA members or farmers market regulars feel part of your farm. And maybe that looks like asking them if you can take their photo and then of them picking up a CSA box from your farm and then sharing that on your social media. And then I encourage you to connect with a network of farmers in the region or nationally or internationally who are doing some neat things on social media. We'll talk about that a little later on too. So here's a good example of that community building piece from Rayburn Farms, where he's talking about a specific kind of mint that he grows for Asheville Tea Company. And who knew that mint could be so appealing? But this is such a nice photo, and it helps to, again, highlight that partnership between the farm and the business. Because, for example, if folks can't come out to your farm directly to pick up your product, maybe you're telling them where to go to get your product, whether that's Asheville Tea Company or a local grocery or a restaurant. So that's just something to consider. The fourth kind of post we'll talk about is education and inspiration. Maybe you highlight a specific crop or farm product, like what makes it unique? Why did you grow it? How did you grow it? What can it be used for? Sharing a recipe or preservation tips can be highly engaging, especially when it comes right from the farmer. And maybe talk about your farming practices and why you choose to grow in the ways that you do. So here's an example of that from The Culinary Gardener, where he's talking about a specific variety of ginger that he grows. This picture is just, again, so appealing. He's talking about that it has a mild, sweet ginger taste, how they grow it. So yeah, this is one of those kind of educational examples. And it was highly engaging. Looks like over 1,000 people liked that post. And the fifth kind of post that you could share is an entertaining post, whether that's jokes or puns. Did you grow a carrot that looks like a person? Did you dress up your farm dog in a costume? Or if you feel comfortable sharing photos of your kids on social media, is that something that could make somebody smile? And here's an example of that from Colfax Creek Farm. He's just a big lap dog, they share, and that gained quite a few laughs. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is how to stop scrollers in their tracks. Tips for memorable posts. I think the first suggestion is to choose interesting subject matter. We also suggest making photography a priority, as Facebook posts with photos get 87% more engagement than those without photos. And on Instagram, you have to include a photo in order to post. We also suggest that you write engaging captions and just kind of get creative. So we're going to go through just kind of some basic photography tips here. One of those being that you should pay attention to lighting. You can adjust the lighting on your phone or camera. The time of day that you take photos matters. Ideally, that'll be in the morning or evening when the light is the best, like the golden hour. You want to try to avoid glare or washout from the sun, and try to get your subject to glow, kind of like these flowers here. Frame and focus is another piece to consider. Like, try taking multiple shots from varying angles and perspectives. Edit your photos if needed. There is an editor built into Instagram, so if it's too dark like this, you can brighten it up, you can warm it up, make it a little more saturated, kind of play around. It's kind of fun to experiment with editors there. And if you're looking to edit a photo that's going to go on Facebook, there's not a built-in editor there, but you could use a free photo editor like Canva, and there's a couple others that exist. And get creative. Like, this is very visually appealing, the various colored eggs. This photo came from our communications coordinator around Valentine's Day promotion. So yeah, just do some experimenting and get creative with what you're sharing. We also suggest that you plan ahead and stage your photos if possible. So if you know that there's going to be some notable events on the farm, like the birth of a baby animal, or a big harvest day, or a kind of peak bloom season, that's something to kind of take note of and integrate into your weekly strategy. We also suggest arranging farm products against an interesting background. So, like, for example, this giant watermelon against the rustic barn backdrop. It just makes me want to go out and get a big old watermelon. And if possible, you might want to consider hiring a professional photographer if you are able. If not, there are lots of local photographers who could be interested in a barter or exchange kind of situation. So that's also something worth exploring. If you do end up hiring a professional photographer, we suggest getting the farm cleaned up so that you can take photos in different parts of the land. In the moment, be ready. I know that keeping your phone on you while you're out in the field can be a little cumbersome, but if you're able to keep your phone with you while you're harvesting or doing chores, you can easily snap a photo if inspiration strikes. And if you have a farm partner or employee who is willing, it could also be a fun thing to ask them to take pictures throughout the day too, and then you can create like a shared album that you can pull photos from whenever you need to create your weekly posts. Okay, we also suggest you write an engaging caption. So for example here, Flying Cloud Farm shared, "Sometimes there is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow." And this woman is standing in a zinnia patch. That just makes me want to go out and do you pick. It's ripe for comments. So that's just something to consider as well. And moving on, we'll talk more about planning and strategy. So how do you actually know what's working? There's a couple of ways. I think first, the big thing is to pay attention to the reactions to different types of posts that you're sharing, and use this to influence your future posts and their content, their tone, and their timing. So for example, if you have a couple days in a row where you're telling people to go to your online store and you're noticing that you're losing followers, that not as many people are commenting, not as many people are liking the post, and then the next day you post more of an educational or entertaining post and that's highly engaging, that's something to consider. Like, maybe I should hold off on the call to action post for a bit and see if I can gain some more traction by focusing on these other types of posts. Another thing to think about is, what do other farms or businesses do on social media that you like? That can be a great source of inspiration, and we'll share some social media accounts to consider following for that. Also, Instagram and Facebook business accounts give you valuable insights and analytics about your audience demographics and behavior, which can be really helpful for thinking about how you target audiences, particularly for paid advertising. So in order to glean those insights from your Facebook account, when you're on the main page of your business, you'll see these tabs here at the top. You're going to want to click on Insights, which will bring you to this interface. This is the overview of your business page, like how many page views did you have within the last week, how many people liked your page, how many people did it reach. I suggest doing some digging into these tabs here to learn more about your audience, like demographics around gender, age, location, and that can be a really useful tool. And to glean those insights from Instagram, you're going to want to go to your main, your profile, and click on these three buttons here, these three lines, which will bring you to a menu where you'll want to click on Insights. From there, you'll be brought to an Insights page. It'll start you off on the activity page here, and you'll want to click on Audience. And that's where you're going to find all of the information regarding the demographics of your followers, their age, gender, location. Another neat thing about Instagram posts is that you can view insights for specific posts. You're also able to do this on Facebook, but we're going to talk through this on Instagram for now. So to do that, you'll just click on a specific post on your profile, click on View Insights here, and you can see how many times the post has been shared, how many comments there are, if people took action from the post, like if they got directions to your business, or they went to clicked on your website, this section here. And so that's also a good place to dig into to see like whether your call to action is working. And now I want to talk about when to post and how often. And so you're going to want to decide on a schedule that works for you. Whether that's daily, twice a week, or multiple times a day, and be consistent. You may post less often in the off season, but you don't want to stop posting completely because it kind of reminds your customers to look forward to seeing you again. Generally, the best times to post on social media are lunchtime and in the late afternoons from 3 to 5 p.m. There's typically less activity in the evening and on weekends. And you can use your insights to see when your audience is online and engaging with your page. But I wouldn't say that these are like the be-all, end-all as far as tips go, because it really depends on your business and your audience. So it's worth monitoring that the insights there to really get a sense for the time of day that people are engaging and the days of the week too. We suggest that you plan ahead. Creating a calendar, whether that's in your head or on paper or on a physical calendar, whatever it might be, can be really helpful for strategizing what content you're going to post when. And you can integrate like kind of specials within that calendar, whether it's like, hey, mid-May, our strawberries are just going to be going nuts. And so we want to plan a big advertisement around that time. And leading up to it, we want to create all of this anticipation around that. And so you can kind of, it helps to strategize the rollout of a big announcement or event or whatever it might be. And third-party apps like Hootsuite can help you manage all of your social media. The free versions generally don't offer as many features as paid versions. They can be useful, but are definitely not necessary. And scheduling posts can be a really useful thing. What I like to do is just sit down once a week, plan out that week's posting schedule, and then that way I know it's done, it's out of the way, and I can start thinking about content for the coming week and take photos and can do some brainstorming there. Scheduling is built into Facebook, and I want to walk through what that looks like in just a moment. Scheduling in Instagram requires a separate app like Hootsuite, but a nifty hack is to save posts as drafts, and then you can quickly post them at a later time. So I want to walk through how to schedule a post on Facebook. So we're here on the page that we made last week in our webinar. And so to schedule a post, we're just going to pretend like we're writing a post for now. And you see here it says post scheduling and additional options available in publishing tools. So you'll just click there. And we'll go to scheduled posts and we'll create a post. So this is going to say just test, schedule. And you can, again, pick whatever day and time you want that to be shared with your followers. So we'll schedule it for the 29th at 4:00 p.m. Schedule. And then oftentimes you have to refresh here so that actually shows up. Okay, so that was scheduled for the 29th at 4:00, and now I can go about my day and I don't have to worry that about what content I'm going to share for the day, or if I know I'm just going to be super busy and I won't have time to post that day, that this just takes care of that. Okay, so now we'll talk about building your audience. What the heck is a hashtag? So a hashtag is like a filing system where you store information about, you can store information about events, specials, and trending news. Hashtags are searchable and help new followers find you. So the more that you use, the more hashtags you use, the more you will show up on search feeds for those specific hashtags. You want to make sure you're using the right hashtags. Don't make one up unless you plan to use it consistently, and research what is being used by your target audiences. And I'll show you how to do that in just a moment here. You'll want to keep a list. You don't have to, but I find it to be useful, of hashtags that you use regularly to make it easy to paste into your posts. And what I like to do is have a note on my phone where I store all of the hashtags that I use regularly, so I can just copy and paste those right into the post after I'm done writing the caption. Hashtags can help you get reposted by the media or by local businesses. So for example, I shared a post in the past that was seen by the ball canning company, and they liked it and commented on it, and I think they might have reshared it. And so doing things like that can really be helpful in, spreading the word about your business. And hashtags are recommended for use on Instagram, not on Facebook. And some useful hashtags for farms includes Appalachian grown, farm life, farmer life, farm love. I'll share these slides with you after the fact so that you can look at this and jot them down. But I want to walk through how to research hashtags so you can get a sense for what that entails. So we're going to click search, and we're going to type in Appalachian grown. And this hashtag is currently being used in over 7,000 posts. And so when you click on that, this is going to bring you to an interface of all of the posts that include the hashtag Appalachian Grown. These are the top posts that include that hashtag, meaning that there's a high level of engagement on those posts. And these are the more recent posts that include those hashtags, that hashtag. They're maybe not as engaging, but showing that people are using it. And so here's a list of related hashtags that folks are likely to follow, or that businesses and accounts are also likely to use within their post. So if someone's using Appalachian Grown in their post, they're likely also using soil building or self-sufficient living or my veggie garden. Or it could be that folks who follow this hashtag also follow my veggie garden, urban homesteading, planter box. So for example, let's look at this first one here. So this post comes from Flourish Flower Farm, and she uses the Appalachian Grown hashtag here. Some of the other hashtags that she uses includes Asheville 828 is great, AVL today. We also suggest using the 828 is great hashtag, so click on that. And you can see that this hashtag is used in over 900,000 posts, and that's a lot. So this is a popular hashtag that many people follow. We suggest, or I've been told in the past, that using between 10 to 15 hashtags of varying levels of engagement are going to give you the best bang for your buck, so to speak, in that if you're using the 828 is great hashtag, there's a high likelihood that your post could get buried because so many people use that hashtag. Whereas if you use the Appalachian Grown hashtag, not as many folks follow that hashtag. So your post is likely to show up in someone's feed who is using the Appalachian Grown or following the Appalachian Grown hashtag. So hopefully this will give you some inspiration on doing that research and figuring out what other hashtags it makes sense for you to be including in your posts. I also want to talk about Facebook groups. So you can join and post to a group as a business account, and this is a great way to gain followers. Engaging with groups can be a good way to reach new audiences, as long as you're being careful about walking the line between spam and promotion. So like, think of Facebook groups as little communities, for example, and you don't want to join and start just pitching your call to action posts right away, like buy my stuff, without really like contributing beforehand and kind of building that trust with folks who have been engaging in that group. So maybe it's sharing some educational and entertaining posts about your farm to a local county group or something like that, so people know that you're local and what you're doing for the community. And then you can start sharing information about how to buy your product. It can take a lot of time and effort to find the right groups and consistently participate in them. So that's something to consider. But I find joining Facebook groups as a business to be a very powerful tool. For example, ASAP shared information about our Asheville CSA Fair event in several local groups, and it reached way more people than we would have been able to otherwise, just by organic means, because it spread the word about the event to folks who maybe wouldn't have heard about it otherwise. Okay, and then paid advertising 101. I'm going to talk about how to boost existing posts, set a budget, and define your audience based on demographics and interests. And we'll do a quick tutorial. So we'll go back to our page. And so we're going to scroll down to this post that says, strawberries, anyone? We've got berries by the bucketful available for you. Visit us at the farm for a U-Pick experience between 12 p.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And I want to boost this so that people know we have U-Pick beyond what our page can reach organically. Okay, so when you click to boost a post, this is the interface that's going to show up. And you'll first want to start by defining your objective. So what are the results you want to achieve from this post? Do you want more people to like the post and comment on it and share it, which will bring that post higher up within the newsfeed? That could also inspire people to start following you. Or do you want people to connect and chat? Or do you want to be able to chat and connect with potential customers? This is also a great way to get people to like your page. And you'll start to see more direct messages in your inbox. You could add a button to your post if you want to lead people away from Facebook to your website, for example. But it's optional, you don't have to include it. But if you're going to, for example, in this post, the call to action is to visit us at the farm for a U-Pick experience. You'll likely want to link it to your website so people know where you're located and more details about what to expect for U-Pick. Special ad category, I don't know that this is going to be super relevant for you all, but ads for credit, especially the ads for credit or housing offers piece. But if, for example, you want to take out an ad to let folks know that you're hiring, you'll have to click yes to this being a special ad category. And then another great piece of being able to boost a Facebook post is being able to do detailed targeting for your ads. So we'll click edit here. And so you can choose to define your audience based on their gender, their age, their location. We're going to X out of North Carolina, and we want this to be more targeted. So we're going to choose Asheville. This could be, and you can add a couple different, that's within 25 miles of Asheville. You can expand that. You can make that a smaller distance. And another great piece is that you can include people who match specific interests or behaviors that you think your target audience would be interested in. So like, for example, try to think back to conversations you've had with some of your customers at market or your CSA customers. Think about some conversations around their interests that might have come up. It's likely that if someone is going to want to come to a farm to do a U-Pick experience, they're interested in sustainable agriculture. They're interested in local food. And they're interested in farms. Yeah, and you can add as many interests as you'd like. The audience size will likely go up as you add more. Like, let's see. Yep, so that just made a big jump. So yeah, you can add as many kind of demographics and interest pieces as you want here. And we'll just save the audience. Facebook will automatically place your ads. And so if you want that to be the case, then keep this on. But otherwise, if you only want your post to show up on Facebook, then you'll click off this Instagram piece. Like if you don't have an Instagram account, for example. And then you'll get to set the duration and budget for the ad. So Facebook suggests that ads that run for at least 4 days tend to get better results. You can certainly do it for less time, but following Facebook's recommendations are probably a good thing to keep in mind. So we'll set that for 5 days at $25. That's estimated to reach between 670 and 1,900 people per day, which is pretty awesome. And then if you want to just review what your ad will look like, this is what it'll look like on a desktop news feed. This is what it'll look like on Instagram, a mobile feed. And then you just press boost. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to engage this ad, but that's how to do it. And then finally, I encourage you to get inspired. Following other farms is a great way to gain inspiration. The Culinary Gardener, Olivet Farm, 10 Mile Farm, and Colfax Creek are all local here. But it's also worth looking at what folks throughout the country are doing. I also suggest that you do your homework. Maybe think about 5 tasks or chores or other crops that are coming up on the farm in May and jot down those post ideas. Grab your calendar and schedule out when to share those ideas. And then just start taking photos and practicing. I think experimenting and seeing what works, what doesn't work is really part of the process and will help you get better at this. I am offering one-to-one consulting for any farmers within our Appalachian grown region who would like some assistance. Here's my email address where you can reach out with any questions you might have. Our next webinar will be happening next Monday, May 4th at 2 p.m. and we'll be talking about strategies for communicating with the public through COVID-19.